So I've been making clothes for about 5 years at this point, and for the past 2 years, I've been dipping my toe into like producing clothes, how big companies would produce clothes, doing it more in the sense of using like, actual manufacturers, not just using like Instagram manufacturers, and doing that as just like one person and operating the business essentially just from my savings account. It means I'm a very small fish to them, which comes with a lot of challenges, and I'll get into all those. But first, I got this sample here. This is the first sample of the updated orange juice hoodie. Technically, this hoodie has been like 4 years in the making. I have an old version sitting right here. I think I released this in like 2020, and this is just like a wholesale hoodie with an embroidery on it. No like custom tags. No, it's a terrible product. So you might be asking then, why am I remaking it? Well, the reason why I'm remaking it is because that product I just showed you, that terrible orange juice hoodie, was the best selling thing I've ever made, ever. not in terms of just clothing too, just anything I've ever tried to sell, that has been the best performing one by far. And I could look at that now and go, that's terrible. That's trash. But people still like it, and I still receive a DM every now and then like, yo, you got any orange juice hoodies left? I'm like, no. But I might soon. Anyway, my conclusion about the whole thing is conceptually the idea is good. I look at that execution of it and I go, that was terrible. So now that I have 4 more years of experience and I kind of understand a better way of doing things, I'm taking a second swing at it, and I'm going to try and get the execution like as good as I possibly can, because the end, if I get the product to where I want the product to be, I mean, I don't want to get too excited, but I think it's something that I could basically have it be like my bread and butter product that just kind of sells year round, and I'm able to introduce new colors and whatnot and collect a consistent revenue from. So I'm able to make other products. I'm able to get more experiential with things, experimental with things. For example, I've been sitting on this wool jacket for like maybe even a year and a half at this point. I want to like spend the money and develop clothing like this. It's so expensive. Stuff like this is difficult to sell like organically, and it's difficult. This is kind of my assumption. It seems very hard to get like first-time customers on a product like this. Whereas like I think everyone feels safe buying a hoodie from a new company. At worst, it might fit a little weird, but you could still wear it, So this first sample, it's not good, but quick overview, it's a 400 to 430 GSM fabric, 100% cotton. The hoodie pattern, like the actual fit of the hoodie itself, is the same as the first date hoodie, exact same pattern, because I just love that pattern so much, and I love the way the fit is on that. It's got like nice drop shoulders. It doesn't hang too low. The only thing I changed was on the hood. I removed the stitch that goes around the hood, because I think for this particular hoodie, I want to go for something that's like more softer looking and almost I don't think fluffy is the right word, but something that looks like more cozy and not as heavy, if that makes sense. So I removed that stitch, and I think that will do a lot for the look when I get the right fabric, which I'll get into. And then with the design, there's so much that's going to be changed on this. It doesn't look good right now, but I think I have fixes for a lot of things, so I'll get into that too. But before I do that, let me explain why like sampling and making these minute changes and trying to like develop a product can be so difficult when you're trying to do it like the proper way, but you're a small client to these manufacturers, so you really don't get the attention that one of their larger or even like a medium-sized client of them would get, especially if you're a new client with a manufacturer, and you're small and you're just hitting minimums, which is exactly the position I'm in. I've been in touch with a few manufacturers. I'm working with one on this particular hoodie right now, and I'm just making enough to hit their minimums, because when you're working with like larger manufacturers, they have high minimums. And like, I'm not even necessarily working with like a huge manufacturer. Literally the minimum is 100 pieces. So that's how many I'm going to make. Like when you work with even like bigger factories, it's like you have to do 500. You need to spend $10,000 on a production run. Like it gets crazy. Anyway, the point I'm making is that from the manufacturer's perspective, I've never worked with them before. I'm making minimum quantities. I don't have an established business. To them, it's the same amount of effort to go through the sampling process with me to make a small amount of product than it is to go through the sampling process with someone else who might be ordering 1,000 hoodies, 2,000 hoodies. That front end energy that they have to like dispense to do that is the same amount to make less money in the end in like the production side of things. Some companies are better than others, and like this particular time of the year, manufacturers are very busy, and the one I'm speaking to now has communicated to me that they're like, we're sorry we're not being so attentive to you. We're very busy right now. Unfortunately, I'm learning is just the way things go sometimes. being small, you just have to be patient a little bit. I'm finding that means like, you know, posting products on TikTok and on your Instagram, and people being like, yo, when's this coming out? And you don't want to give them an answer because you don't want to be like, a year maybe, I don't know. And it's very frustrating to me because like I hate when things don't feel like they're moving forward. For example, I'm waiting on like some fabric swatches for this hoodie for like other fabric options that were supposed to come in the hoodie package, but there was a little bit of a mix up and they didn't. And I still haven't gotten like the tracking number for them, and it's been like a week. And part of me is just like, I'm just gonna find a new manufacturer that's like gives me the attention I want. But I think maybe that's just me being a bit too eager, and like I just have to be patient with this because I need to understand how small I am to them, and at some point hopefully I become bigger and this isn't an issue. Anyway, I'm just yapping at this point. So I'm going to run through all the changes I want to make on this sample, and you could let me know in the comments if you think they're good, if you think they're bad. I won't listen because I already sent all these notes over for the second sample, so they're already final. But maybe if there needs to be a third sample, we can do it. So the fabric, like I said, it's a 400 to 430 GSM, 100% cotton fabric. So I really like the weight of it. The weight is great. So the First Date hoodie is like little secret. It's a 530 GSM fabric. I made a typo and said it was 500 on like the cards inside inside the product that you get that explains some details on your hoodie. So I've just been running that it's 500 GSM. Really, you're getting a better weight than I'm saying. Anyway, that's 530 GSM. It's very heavy, and it looks very heavy, and it feels very heavy. This is around 400, and this weight is great. That, especially during the summer, that can feel super heavy. But I want to change it from the 100% cotton because I find that the 100% cotton looks... There's like a sheen to it and not a softness to it. It's almost like firm and has a shape, which is good, which is great for like that type of hoodie. But for this one, I want it to look a bit softer. Like a good example is like LA Wholesale. I don't even know the name, but they have Wholesale and they have pictures of hoodies. And you could look at those hoodies and they look so soft. And that's what I want for this. And that's not achieved with this 100% cotton. So I'm going to need to find a blend that has a cotton and polyester blend because that will make it look a little bit softer. And also just feel a little bit softer. Another option I'm exploring is doing a cotton and wool blend. This is something my manufacturer, I suggested it, and they were like, you should probably do a cotton poly blend. I was like, but I want to do a cotton wool blend. So I'm trying to get sample fabrics for a cotton wool blend and cotton poly blend to feel the two, compare them, and then kind of pick one for the second sample. The most cost efficient way would be to get a cotton poly, but I just think a cotton wool blend hoodie sounds so cool. And I just want to do it, but I don't know how feasible and realistic. Like if I'm paying $30-something dollars a yard for fabric, if I'm doing a cotton wool, it just doesn't make any sense for the price point of this hoodie. Regardless, I'm going to be changing the fabric. But this color, I love this color. It's grown on me so much. It's a little bit more. It's not as much as like a faded tone as the original one, and it's very deep, and it has a little bit of blue in it. And I like that. All right, so the design, I'm making a few changes to hopefully like aid in the embroidery process, because if you look at the embroidery close, it's very sloppy. Looking at it, basically what I think it comes down to is that the black lines just aren't thick enough. And I also think visually it looks a little too tall. So what I did is I shrunk the design by maybe 15%. I like squeezed it down, and I doubled the thickness of all the black lines because all the black lines are just regularly embroidered. And I think that will cover up the, I don't want to say sloppiness, but with a Chanel, I never know how to say it. With that type of embroidery, the lines aren't as clean. So you need that black line to be thicker just to kind of clean everything up, because you could see it's like coming out the other side of the black line, and I don't want that. So we need to fix that. I shrunk it down. I'm also going to be increasing the size by half an inch, I think was my final. Yeah, so I think we're at 6.5 inches here. We're going to be increasing it to 7 inches, and it's also going to be getting a bit wider because we squeezed it down, and it's going to be shifted down a little bit. So it's going to be bigger, and it's going to sit more in the middle and fill out a little bit more wide. And also this base color I think should be something a little bit brighter. I don't really like this tone a bunch, even though it is very, very close to what I originally did. I just don't really like it. I want it to be brighter. The orange is a much brighter orange, but I like that on this. I think it gives it a nice pop, dude. So that's what I'm going to be changing on this embroidery here. And then the fit's great because I base it off the sample, but the only thing I'm going to be changing is the cuffs. I'm going to be cutting half the cuff off, because what I always like to do in my cuffs, I like to just fold them up with every hoodie I have, I fold them up like this. And with this particular fit, I don't want it to like pinch your arm all the way up, because the fit of this, to get that like nice drop shoulder look, you kind of have to narrow it down a little at the end here. But this part of the cuff makes it look like it's tight for a long way. But if we do this and move it in, it looks more loose on the arm. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I want to do. And that's basically all the changes. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you like the design, if you'd buy it. My price goal is the same price as the Chadman hoodie, for First Date hoodie, which is like $88. I'd like to keep it under 100. If I need to sell for 100, I will. And yeah, I'm just going off like it's gonna be double whatever I make it for. Anyway, that's it.